What's up, G Show land, and welcome to another episode of the G Show podcast. I am G1, and this is the Godzilla Block Party. Very small panel today. It is just me and G73 coming at you live because G1 had a couple of things he had to do, so the other panelists could not join us at this particular time. It is Saturday. It is September 10th, and this podcast will go up later tonight on the G Show Facebook page and also the G Show YouTube page. But let's stop promoting and let's get down to brass tacks and talk about why we are here and why we are podcasting. G73 and myself will we've got some things to say, and stay tuned. Here we go. G73, what's up, brother?
Hey, nice Saturday today. Calm, windy.
Yes,
I like it.
It's the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
And that storm brings Shinji in about a month. Are you excited?
Now I am. Now I'm excited. The hype kind of died down the last few weeks just because of all the spoilers that came out. And I just was, what I do, reading about it every day, it was just repetitive. And so it kind of deflated me a little bit. And regardless of how I still feel about it with certain things, I am excited now that I'm finally going to be able to see it on October 11th. And it's a Godzilla movie to add to my collection. So, other than that, I'm excited. I'm excited, especially because it's not far from where I live.
So, totally with you on that. That's how I feel. So yesterday, Funimation dropped their itinerary, if you will, gave us the location of the theaters that will be showing Shin Godzilla, gave us the link that I clicked on took me to Fandango. Several theaters popped up. One of my favorite theaters here in Vegas that I've had the pleasure of going to, I think it's actually my favorite theater, is playing it. So I was excited about that. Like you, it's about 20 minutes away from me. And yeah, October 11th, 7 p.m. My tickets are booked. It's going to be me. It's going to be my brother. It's going to be my little monster, my daughter. She wants to go, and who am I to say no if she wants to see a Godzilla movie? Because she hasn't wanted to watch a Godzilla movie with Dad since 2014. Anytime I'm like, hey, you want to watch Godzilla? Do you want to watch Godzilla? No. So we're excited, and I believe
kind of like she'd rather see it in theaters than instead of at home.
Absolutely, they need to do this more often because this would be awesome. So
they just did a marathon of showing all of the Godzilla movies in theaters, leading up to like a certain Godzilla movie. I would like that,
dude. I would even sit through the bum ones, dude. I would totally try to, or not even like a marathon, but let's say a Godzilla movie at night type of thing. I'd be down for that.
Well, yeah, like sometimes the theater down here plays 98 at night and stuff, just for like, old classics. They do like Classic Week, and they'll show the Wolfman or Frankenstein or something like that on the big screen, and they showed 98 not too long ago, and that's cool shit.
Yeah. So your theater, when you checked out the link, were there many theaters in your area showing it?
Ironically, there were more theaters in my hometown of Sacramento playing it. Almost every theater in Sacramento was showing it. And that is shocking to me. I knew the one theater, Century 14, would show it, which is on Greenback, where I used to live. That theater shows all these foreign films. They have like a contract with Funimation, and they go all out. They decorate the inside of their theater for it, and they give out posters and everything. I remember because two of my friends of mine went and saw the Dragon Ball Z movie, Resurrection of Frieza.
Yes,
right? It just came out not too long ago, and they saw that, and they had a blast, and they got a whole bunch of cool merch for it. They got some posters, little lanyards and stuff, cool little knickknacks. And so I wasn't shocked that Shin Gojira was playing there, but we have a theater in Sacramento in Rockland called the Studio Movie Grill, which is a dinner theater, and it's not a sit-down dance movie theater. It is a movie theater where you sit down and there is a menu, and a waiter and waitress come, give you your order, and take your order, and then you sit and eat dinner while you're watching a movie at the theater. And that was what was surprising to me, because that is a very high class theater. That is an expensive theater, and that's where all the rich people go and hang out. So I'm like, that was what was surprising, because they're going to be charging maybe $30 for this whole entire movie or more to see Shin Godzilla there. So that was kind of cool to see and kind of shocking. But yeah, there's a Tower Theaters playing it, and a few other theaters, but not too much. But where I'm at now, about 6 hours away, there's only one theater showing it about 20 minutes away from me. So I'll have to get my tickets eventually for that when Fandango has it added, because right now they don't, but Funimation does have it listed.
I got you. Yesterday when the news dropped and you sent me the message while I was at work, I was like, oh, this is perfect timing, because I was right about to get on my lunch break, and I clicked the link and I went to theater and show times, and the big map of the United States popped up, and I'm like, okay. So then I type in Las Vegas, because to be honest, since I moved to the new G Show studios, I still don't know the zip code just yet. I should have typed in the old one, because it's just right down the block, but I wasn't thinking. I was just excited. I was like, all right, where's it playing? Where's it playing? So I typed in Las Vegas, and nothing popped up, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh, man. And it said if you don't see a theater, or if there's nothing in your location, check back later. We're updating. So I lucked out with that.
Funimation had a technical difficulty when they were adding tons of theaters. Something was going on, and it was weird for me, because I could type in my zip code where I'm at now, but that's the only zip code I could enter in. It wouldn't let me enter in other zip codes or my other hometown.
Wow.
But then after a while, because I went and got on my desktop, my laptop, and it did the same thing. But then Funimation came out and said, hey, we're having some difficulties. Check back later throughout the day, and the website should be updated. And then it got to work, and now everything seems to be there. But they did say they are still adding more theaters, because there's 440 plus theaters. So I wonder where it's going to be. I think at this point where you live, if you don't have a theater showing it near you, you just may live in a place that is probably way out there.
Yeah. Thursday night, I can't wait to hear what the rest of the panel is going to say Thursday, whether or not, because we have certain friends that don't live in big towns, so.
No, I'm really excited to see what G95 says.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And also Gam
if
C1.
he joins us, I mean, he may not join us, but I hope he does.
I think we'll be able to get him on Thursday. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're going back to Fridays. Starting next week, we pre-record on Thursdays. We're going back to Fridays. So, just these past 2 weeks, we did the Saturday podcast for special reasons, because we had a couple of things to do, and also because this news broke yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that you guys, heard us bullshit about it. And being that it's only G73 and myself, it's a very intimate conversation.
Yes, it's kind of nice.
Well, I was happy that when I got home, I had like a family function yesterday. When I got home from work, my brother was here, and he was like, so dude, it's playing here. And I'm like, really? Yes. And then we got on, we ordered our tickets. It was awesome. But when we get on, the funny thing was, as soon as you get on that website, you hear Godzilla. And it's it was I had my volume up, and I'm not expecting that, but you hear Godzilla roar right off the bat. My little niece was running around, scared her. It was hysterical. My family was here. Everybody was looking at the computer screen all of a sudden. I'm like, what? But we get the tickets, and then I said, let's watch this trailer, because I was hearing a lot of crazy things about Funimation's theatrical trailer for Shinji for us. And let me tell you something, man. We put that trailer on. I'm going to straight up put it like this. If I did not watch any single trailer, I had no clue what was going on. All I knew that there was a Godzilla movie coming out called Shin Godzilla, and that's all I knew. And I didn't watch any trailers. I seen nothing. I didn't know what Godzilla looked like. I knew nothing. This trailer was for me the best trailer I've seen to date, and I'm gonna include the first trailer we got, the one with the really good music. The
Persecution of the Masses.
Persecution of the Masses.
Yeah.
But because the music really brought that trailer, like that was a home run. But hearing the original Godzilla March and the classic music, and not seeing Godzilla 100%, okay, getting a glimpse here and there, then that very long shot that we've seen previously with him in the middle of the city at night, and his body's kind of like glowing, that would have knocked me on my ass, because we know what we're getting. And when I watched this trailer, it did just that. It having the march playing, and the majority of this trailer is a lot of people. It's a lot of the characters, and not a lot of Godzilla. There's some pretty good destruction sequences, which I loved. But I really, along with the music, I love this trailer, man. It did exactly what it needed to do. If I didn't see anything from Shin Godzilla, and this was the trailer I saw for the first time, you've got me hook, line, and sinker. Now, then I go to the movies and I see what I kind of know already, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is not what's going on. But what did you think when you saw that trailer?
Yeah, I turned on my computer right when I woke up, and I went straight to Funimation's website, and I heard Godzilla's roar, and I laughed just because it was the first thing I'm hearing in the morning, and I wasn't expecting it. And it was funny because I saw a few weeks ago a page mentioned that when you click on Funimation's website, when you click on the Shin Godzilla stuff, it roars. And well, I tried doing that and I couldn't figure it out. But then when I went on my desktop and it roared, caught me by surprise, and I I loved it just because even though some people complain about his very original roar, kind of dumb.
His very Showa-esque roar, yep.
Yeah, I loved it. I liked it just because I like that Funimation is taking this into their hands with care.
Yes.
Now, I knew there was a new trailer coming out, but I waited to do that last because I wasn't even going to click on it if I wasn't even going to get excited for not seeing it. So I checked my dates first to see if it was near me first to get that out of the way because that's what I cared the most about. But then when I clicked on the Funimation trailer, it made me feel almost giddy because it was total Shawa nostalgia, but it was so almost like weird to me because I was like, this is not a Shawa movie, but it's paying so much homage to a Shawa movie, so almost in a very twisted way because it's not a Shawa movie at all.
Right.
But you have this traditional music, and you have just. I was kind of surprised they didn't show much of Godzilla in the trailer, but it's just funny because that's just how America does this stuff. And it took me a minute to realize that, when America takes the things into their hands, they don't spoil things in their trailers. And looking back at, just the day before, another Asian trailer
was the Malaysia one.
Yeah, and I don't know where it's coming out because I've seen the Taiwan, I've seen the Philippines, and I've seen China's trailer, and I'm like, where else is it showing? And I know it's showing in way other places in Asia, but I didn't know, I couldn't read the language to this film. But anyways, it showed so much, and I was almost like overwhelmed. I was like, I don't like it when I see movies, like trailers for movies, and I can see the whole movie in the trailer.
Right.
And so I was like, like with it's kind of like almost karma in a way, because here we were complaining a few months ago. We haven't seen anything for Shin Godzilla. We haven't seen any trailers. What's this?
And look, we
And
get
then all of a
bombarded.
sudden, yeah, all of a sudden we get bombarded with spoilers, leaks, and it's like we should have bit our tongue.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have said that. And I did the same thing for 2014. I'm like, well, I want to see more, and then I got too much and pretty much spoiled a big chunk of the movie for me just off of my own curiosity, like I did for Shin Godzilla. But anyways, that trailer, I was very surprised that Funimation kept it minimal, and I think that's smart.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just sad though, because if you have been following this movie, the damage is already done if you've seen all the spoilers.
Good point.
But because I already know everything and I have my tidbits here and there, I am still excited nonetheless, because it is a Godzilla movie that's in the franchise, and I'm willing to see, if it turns out to be a lot better than what I know. I mean, until I see things in motion. Now, there was a scene that was leaked of a day scene, and the military was taking on Godzilla, and I did enjoy seeing that. It just was interesting seeing Japan try to execute what they wanted to do with Godzilla in this scene, and taking out his legs, taking out his head, taking out his arms. They actually say in this little scene, let's attack that, attack that,
Right.
see what it does. So that was very interesting, and I liked that because I felt the suspense of this film. And the one thing that I kept going back to when I was reading more about this film and seeing more of these trailers and stuff is that, in a way, if I'm not too impressed by the character Godzilla in this film, I'm already really impressed with this cast.
Okay.
I think just genuinely, this movie's going to just be a good film, and that's what I've always grown up off, was just good films. Whether or not they're have certain characters that are good or bad, I just feel like this Godzilla film is going to be a well brought out Godzilla film, regardless of the controversy.
Now,
And that's what I'm excited about.
I agree with you because and the Funimation trailer is the one that kind of, we know my stance on this movie. I got to see it, but everything I've seen so far before the Funimation trailer, I'm just I can't get too excited for this until I see the movie, just because I don't like the aesthetic. But what the Funimation trailer did, which touching upon what you just said, the cast, just seeing them, their reactions in certain scenes, you can see the frustration and anxiety in this trailer for some of these characters. They're really bringing it, and this is one of those conversations we had before about subtitling and dubbing. With the subtitles, yeah, you have to read, and you probably can't pay attention to what's on the screen. But when you're seeing it in a giant screen, it shouldn't be that big of a problem. So what you're getting is the actors' actual portrayal. Like you hear how they speak, whatever they're saying, even though you don't understand, you got to read it, but you can feel, what they're going through. Whereas
you can feel the emotion they're trying to drive out.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas with the dub, I mean, and I can't speak for all of them because I've seen some really good dubs before, but with dubs, a lot of these voice actors, they phone it in because they're like, oh, it's just a Godzilla movie. No, it's not. It's more to a lot of people in our.
You're still getting paid to do what you're doing.
Exactly, and do it right, and that's really my only complaint with dubs versus subs, where I like the subtitles, because I'm telling you, when I saw this trailer, just seeing that emotion and I felt them, and then it really started to kick in. Holy shit, we're getting a new Godzilla movie from Toho, and you know what? As much as I don't like the way he looks, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the way this movie is flowing and from what I know, the little bit that I know, because I didn't do what you did or my brother or Gam Gam Z1 did and spoil the entire thing, but I know little things here and there. But even from that, knowing what I know, I'm just like, damn, the movie itself is going to be good.
Yeah.
Whether or not I like
and I really hope that we touch on that as when we get down to that big old panel discussion, that we actually address that too, not just for the sake of the Godzilla character, but as the film in a whole.
Oh, we
and
will.
another thing that was brought to my attention, before I go into that though, speaking of the subtitling, the scene that I saw was subtitled, and it was subtitled perfectly.
I think I saw the same thing you saw.
Yeah. Well, it was what I posted on Megalon, and the military's attacking Godzilla and stuff.
And even the Malaysian trailer that came out the other day, they had the English subtitles, and I thought they was perfect.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to what I was going to say prior to that, was that someone on Tumblr last night addressed that there is an actor in this Godzilla film that we may have not recognized. And I don't know if any of us are familiar with him, but his name is Akira Emoto. And he played Akira in Space Godzilla.
Akira in Space Godzilla? The general?
Yeah, no. Gosh, I don't know if it's Akira. In the Japanese film,
in Space Godzilla,
he's the guy that wants to kill Godzilla.
Yeah, that's I was just saying his name the other day too. Unbelievable. Yes, and if I'm not mistaken, he also played I think he was in another Godzilla movie in the Millennium Saga too. Oh man, why can't I think of his name now? That is so funny. But I know who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about.
But I thought that was really cool because there are other original Godzilla actors in this film too. We have Jun Kamigura, and he was in Final Wars. And I questioned that because I was trying to pronounce his name because someone just sent it to me. And he's in this movie too. And he played in the he was one of the Gutango pilots, and he's in the movie quite a bit. You would recognize him. I can't really describe him, but he gets his hand hurt.
The older man, yeah, he's Gordon's co-pilot. Co-captain.
Yeah, that guy's in it.
Well, there's a lot of old school Godzilla cast members, I should say. A lot of alumni.
Yeah,
in this movie, and I love that about this franchise.
Yeah, and what excites me about that is nostalgia, because I'm going to be seeing these actors, and if I recognize them, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, I remember him from that Godzilla movie. And that's going to make it more personal to me, because I remember him in this movie, and the way my mind works, I'm going to be like, what if this is still a linear Godzilla film? And it's happening later in the future, and that guy, like the Lieutenant Akira guy, Akira Emoto, what if he's like, I remember when Godzilla fought Space Godzilla, and this Godzilla is not anything we've seen before. That's going to stick with me in a way of like just a what if. And that's going to buy a few brownie points to this, because then I'm going to be like, somewhere the real Godzilla Jr. will be somewhere around here getting ready to take on Shinji. But that it's just going to be a big nostalgia thing to me, along with the music. And everyone's talking about the sound effects. I'm not too into the sound effects being nostalgia. The music's more outgoing for me, outstanding than the old school explosions. But I'm still excited because of the actors and the music, and the fact that what I grew up on is still having a continuation.
Right.
So I'm excited about that.
I totally agree with you, man. I mean, and again, this is something that I loved about the Godzilla movies in general. Like when you see Serizawa in a couple of the later Showa movies, but he's not Serizawa, of course. Like Mechagodzilla, I didn't even recognize him when I first saw Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, It wasn't until later on when I was like, holy crap, okay.
Yeah. As an adult now, I recognize the actors
Yeah.
that were in the films, and especially Akira Takarada.
Yeah, well, yeah, that goes without saying. Him and I see, because I butcher the names bad, so I'm just gonna go and say Kimi Mizu. You know who I'm talking about. The girl from
You
Monster
have to name
Zero.
who he is in the movies.
Huh?
That's the only.
The woman, like the greatest
Oh,
Godzilla
Mickey
actress.
Suzuka?
No. That Mickey Sagusa is different. That's I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the one from Monster Zero. She was in Final Wars, so she's in this. Uh,
The Prime
the
Minister
Prime
lady,
Minister
right?
from she was also in
Yeah.
Kimi Mizuno. I always butcher the names, so
Yeah,
I
I don't know
apologize.
her real name.
But you know who I'm talking about. She's in uh she's in Sea Monster. She's in Monster Zero.
Yep.
She Kimi Mizuno. I forget. Anyway, but her. She's another one. You said Akira. I love him, and it's Yuki. Matter of fact, that's how I know him in Space Godzilla. They call him Yuki.
Yeah, I think I just read the name wrong when I looked it up. But yeah, I mean, I knew it was Yuki too, but Akira stuck out because that was his name.
Yeah.
From what he was, his actual name.
Did you read? I mean, when you watch Space Godzilla, you were watching, of course, you were watching the dub versions, correct?
I was watching the dub, yeah.
So they called him Akira?
They call him Yuki.
Oh, they did call him Yuki. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, because I thought it was a difference. I've never seen the dubs. I think the only one I seen partially dubbed was Destroyer. But I just refuse to watch those movies dubbed because I grew up with them subtitled. So, yeah.
See, I grew up with them dubbed.
Yeah. I know. I trust me. I know. The age difference between us is not lost on me. Believe that. Okay. I feel like an old man.
My dad's fault.
No, hey man, but it's cool. You know, it's all good.
I mean, just still seeing the same movie, but I remember though I watched some of the Millennium series. I remember one time I couldn't get 2000's settings to work, so I had to watch that subtitled.
Right.
And then Against Mechagodzilla, I had to watch that subtitled. And then Tokyo SOS. For some reason, my DVD player at the time wasn't working, and so I had to do what I had to do. And I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm here for Godzilla anyways. But yeah, it's different because I did watch Godzilla vs. Biollante subbed and before. I had the Miramax version of it.
Yeah.
And it's Japanese audio with they can do it in English and stuff like that. They have the dubbed version and Japanese version, but I watched it in the Japanese version, and it's interesting because hearing that in their actual language and then hearing it dubbed, even though Biollante is probably one of the best dubs.
I agree. I was going to say that. Yes.
Yeah. Seeing it just in all Japanese was a little bit. I wouldn't say better, but I enjoyed it just as much.
Yeah.
Biollante. Their voices are so different, and you actually get to feel a little bit more of what these actors kind of sound like, and it sounds a little bit more realistic instead when it comes to a dub. But the dub was still good. I still watch that dubbed all the time.
I told the story before on the podcast. My brother called me up from the video store and said, hey, I got a Godzilla movie you ain't never seen. I said, shut up. I seen them all. He said, not this one. And he was like, I'm like, what's on the cover? Godzilla in a giant rose. Shut up. Ain't no such thing. And yo, the short shit. And it was dubbed. And I really do appreciate that. I still own the Miramax VHS. I still have that dubbed. I mean, the VHS. But of course, I have it also, the Japanese import subtitled. But yeah, I think that is one of the phenomenal dubs. Oh, excuse me, in the series. I really enjoyed that. So, yeah, Biollante is definitely up there.
It's funny thinking about that now because I had every Godzilla movie up to the Millennium series, including Godzilla 2000, on VHS. I didn't have, the other Millennium issues because I don't think they went to VHS. But
Oh, they did all right. They did. Trust me,
big
I've got
against
them.
Mechagodzilla
Well, all right, I've got
and
them on V.
GMK.
I've got them on VHS. How I got them is another story. I
Oh,
didn't
okay,
go to the
okay.
store to buy those.
Okay, so yeah, and I'm just kind of thinking now, like all my VHS movies warped because I had them in a box, and when we moved, got too hot in the garage, and all of them just got destroyed. So that's kind of sad. But I'm only missing like four out of my DVD collection now,
Oh, nice.
and I'm just thinking about now, like if I didn't have like if I still had my VHSs, but how everything's digital DVD player now, would I still be having my VHS player hooked up in the corner to play these all on VHS still?
Well, all right. I want to talk about that for a second here because when I first moved to Vegas and all my equipment came, I I had one of those DVD VHS combos,
Yeah, I
and
did too.
yeah, and I pretty much had all the Godzilla movies at that point on DVD, in some form or another. I didn't get the Sony dubs because again I just stayed away from the dubs, but I had them. But dude, I was here when I first moved out here, and then all my stuff came. I was here by myself for about a month and a half, almost 2 months. And when my stuff got here, believe that I watched every single one of those VHS tapes on my. I put that some bitch on. There's something, and this is something for me at least that I will always love those VHS tapes. I love when there's static when I'm watching the movie. I love the subtitles because when I watch those movies so much that you could close your eyes and know what they're saying. When you watch it to an extent, you just see the subtitles in your head. You know
Yeah.
where they go. And honestly, shit, because of that, I should have known Japanese, but I didn't. I was so subtitle focused that they're seared into my brain. Um, so when I compared the subtitles to the Blu-ray releases, I was like, okay, all right, that's different. Like I don't know. Video Dai Kaiju, which was the people who were subtitling the videos that I had. I guess they were. I don't know if it was literal translation or a translation that fit more the the situation going on. Uh, Maybe a curse word here was something different in the Sony dubs. Yeah, I'm just saying because look, you see a gigantic 300-foot reptile that spews fire. You're gonna say, "Holy shit!" How are you cursing? You're running around here cursing. You're not gonna go, "Oh my god!" No, you're not. I'm sorry, you're just not.
You would think they would say that more in the Godzilla franchise, and you only hear it so rarely. When they see Godzilla, they are a little bit calm. It's like they're used to it. It's like, oh, it's Godzilla, whatever. We're gonna get our city destroyed anyways. I would be every time I would see Godzilla, I would be like, I'm fucking getting out of here.
That's it. Holy shit! Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's just go.
I know this because wherever Godzilla is, there's another monster almost as worse somewhere else. It's like the plague. It's one of the seven seals being broken.
Oh man. And jumping off of that and back to Shinji, um, and I don't know if this is spoiler, but I don't think it is. If you've read the plot synopsis, which is not a spoiler, and you understand, I like the idea that Godzilla in this movie is representing, just like Godzilla is always a representation of something, especially in the more standout movies, which Shinji is. I mean, look at the haul it's making in Japan. That box office is crazy right now, and we still don't know how much it costs to make. But what are they sitting at, about 70 million US?
Yeah, it was like 68 million.
Unbelievable! That's a beautiful thing, man. Seriously. Now, could
Just
you?
it just beat Godzilla versus Mothra Battle for Earth, and apparently that was the highest grossing Godzilla film.
oh, that's that damn Mothra's fault.
Yeah.
But I mean, like just knowing what Godzilla represents in this movie, in current events within the last several years, um, I love it. I love it. Again, it's a freak of nature, a force of nature. It's something you just cannot stop. How do you stop a
Intonation.
tornado? Yeah. How do you stop a tornado? How do you stop a hurricane? You just can't. You just gotta, batten down the hatches and hope for the best. And I like that. I like that about this movie. Even though again we haven't seen it, but I like the idea of that. I like the idea of them using the tsunami and Fukushima. I like the idea of them playing into that because it's a social commentary and um, the idea of the younger generation trying to, I wouldn't say get rid of the older generation in power, but doing things a different way. Change is necessary.
It's still, in my terminology for it, it's a traditional reboot. And what
Yes.
I mean by that, they are bringing Godzilla back in a traditional way, but they're doing it differently. It still has the same ground of lines where he's coming from, but it's a little bit different than the atomic bomb.
Right.
So
Right.
and I agree. I like that. It's keeping it a little bit fresh, a little bit different, and it's still Japan pointing out that hey, when the atomic bomb was dropped in 1954, they were like, this is what happened when America did this, and this is the outcome of it. And now they're like, well, this is the outcome of Fukushima. Japan needs to do something about it. And that's what the premise of the movie was. This movie is about is because Japan is not executing ways and they're using arrogance. And I like that Japan's not afraid to do that to themselves because if America made a movie about us Americans doing something that's like that in a drastic form, there would be controversy everywhere.
Well,
And we do it to an extent,
to an
but
extent,
not
yes.
for Japan. Japan is pretty much saying, hey, we need to do something about this in a more exaggerated form.
Anno is calling out people. He's calling out the government.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. It's just interesting, and I give Japan props for doing that. I give Toho props for not being afraid to go there. So,
And maybe that's why this movie is making so much money, not because of Godzilla itself, but because of what the story represents. We
it's
kind of
very
see
possible.
that. We kind of seen that here, and I don't want to sound political or nothing, but we kind of seen that here within our own social climate within the past 8 months, 6 to 8 months, with the presidential election, the whole Republican Democratic process, the Bernie Sanders movement. We've seen how a younger generation now rising up, trying to overthrow the. No, I can't say overthrow, but I mean we've just seen some crazy shit in the past couple of months as far as politics goes, and
Yeah.
will we get a movie based on that? You know what I mean? And will it involve a gigantic dinosaur that spews fire from its mouth? You know what I mean? Like
Maybe not around those lines.
we will get sued by Toho.
Come to like economical pollution, maybe.
Somebody bring King Kong back to life. We'll get that damn Rhedosaurus back. Let's remake Zilla.
Resurrect Harambe.
Oh my god. As a cyborg. I'd watch it. I'd watch it. But yeah, man. I do like that. But you were saying something about would we ever do that? I'll tell you, back in the days, in 60 something, I forget what year it was, early 60s. George A. Romero, he did just that with Night of the Living Dead, the social commentary on what was going on in America at the time, and he continued to do that with his Dead trilogy, and then he continued that later on with Land of the Dead, just showing how the rich live and the poor. I like that, but of course, he covered that up with a zombie apocalypse. Whereas what Toho does is they use a giant monster as their crux. the
I
world's
like
most
that.
famous giant
I like-
monster. You know what I mean? The world's most famous giant monster. Let me ask you a question.
All right.
Um, and I'll probably ask this again on Thursday when we have a bigger panel. But
No worries at all.
seeing what this movie has made in Japan, do you think Dai goes ahead and greenlights Gamera?
Well, word on the street is they just greenlit Gamera.
Good.
I haven't read too much into it because I just I'm working on Shin Godzilla right now.
Right.
I'm still trying to just find a little bit piece of information here. I probably will in the next few days start working on Gamera, looking at information. But the word on the street is from certain people that I know that are in Japan, they have greenlit Gamera, but I'm not too certain yet. I knew if Shin Godzilla did well, they were going to continue with Gamera, but still, what is considered well? I mean, Shin Godzilla may have made 60 plus million, but does Toho still see that as good enough, depending on how much it costs to make the film? Yeah, this movie has made a lot of money, most money Toho has ever made from a Godzilla movie, but is it still good enough for Toho to be like, it's successful? Um, if I had to give my opinion, I would say, yeah, I think Toho's like, yeah, this was a successful movie.
I agree.
But between Gamera and Shin Godzilla's success, I mean, what happened was that trailer that we saw last year, that was a concept trailer.
Yeah.
And apparently, the one scene that we see when he fights when he's about to take on that octopus spider monster that shoots those plasma balls, that was apparently a early pre-alpha scene from the movie that they were working on. But what they're doing is that they wanted to put it on hold because they wanted to see if Gamera would still be welcomed, after Shin Godzilla. Would people still welcome Gamera? So they were putting it on hold, and I don't know much information regarding that at this time. I did find some really cool sketch concept art of Gamera that they drew up for making him upgraded and stuff, and it was confirmed that they did make him bigger in the concept art. So if you want my opinion, I think we don't have to worry about Gamera getting its return. I think it will happen, but I don't think. This is the I've always loved Gamera. Maybe not as much as Godzilla, but Gamera's not, I would say, as known, and he's not as popular. And my fear with that is that when they do make a new Gamera movie, we won't see another one after that unless they want to make a new franchise with it. Just because Godzilla is a different staple. Even though they're both two monsters, Godzilla just has more of an imprint in Japan than Gamera does.
Right.
And I'm just worried about that. I mean, yeah, the new Gamera movie looked great. What we saw, I love that. I love Gamera coming up. He's older and he's still alive, and it's a continuation after Gamera versus Iris, and he just nukes all of the Iris in the sky. All of the I forgot their names. The Gaios, yeah. And he nukes them all in the sky. I love that. But not only that, he just looked huge. He looked massive. He looked like a way bigger, kaiju than we are used to. And I would love to see Gamera return, just because that's another character from my childhood. I have all the Gamera movies, all in Japanese, and I even have the Heisei series, dubbed and in Japanese. And it's funny because I'm a bigger Godzilla fan, but I have all of Gamera's everything except Gamera figures. So I would love to see Gamera make a return, but I'm just afraid, what will the public have if it returns? Will they be a little more accepting? I don't want them to make a Gamera movie and it totally bombs, just because as of Godzilla, if it bombs, we wouldn't want to hear them say it didn't make enough money. We're not going to continue with Gamera or Godzilla anymore. That would hurt. They'd be like, no, don't. It would pull our heartstrings a little bit. And I do have a soft spot for Gamera, so that's my only fear is that I think if they make Gamera come back, it's just not going to have a big reaction like Godzilla will.
I think I like what you were saying there because I agree on a couple of points, but I think if they do Gamera, I think it would be successful. I don't think it's going to be as successful as Shin Godzilla is as of now. But again, we also said we don't know what that budget was. What if the budget was $50 million and they made 20 million? I mean, still good, but it's not what they thought. We don't know. That's all pure speculation. And until Toho releases and says, "Well, our budget was this,"
and the thing is, we may never know what the budget is for.
We may never know. You're absolutely right. But I think Gamera would be well received in Japan, especially with today's with the generation of today.
Yeah,
I would think
that could be.
They would take to Gamera just as well as they take to Godzilla because Gamera. What I loved about Gamera up until I would say Gamera versus Gauss, the original ones. Then it started getting a little slapstick and silly afterwards, and then I just want to rip my eyes out for certain ones. But I'm telling you right now, one of my all-time favorite monster movies is Gamera versus Baragon. I love that movie. It's so it's got good monster action. Gamera's not a good guy at all. He's a terror. You got Baragon. I love the story. I love all that stuff. We won't see that. We won't see a Gamera movie in the States in a theatrical release. We won't see that. But we would definitely get it on Blu-ray, DVD. I'm sure of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think it would. I think it would do well in Japan if it comes out, especially if they're doing what we saw that little concept trailer. If they do that, they go that route.
Oh yeah, that looked awesome.
Yeah, or even if they don't go that route, but keep a similar tone, because here's the thing, Gamera was a joke, and this we had a conversation a couple of more than a couple of podcasts back where I was complaining about what they did with the Hesai dubs, and they did the redneck version, and it just makes it goofy when those three movies are not meant to be goofy at all. Those were serious in tone. They had unbelievable monster action. The sets were gorgeous. It was a spectacle. That trilogy is a spectacle to behold. If you have not seen the Gamera Hesai trilogy, I'm telling you, you need to do yourself a favor. If you like giant monster movies, if you're into the kaiju genre, those three movies, they're like, for me, they're like Star Wars. It's just that good. Not the prequels. The original trilogy. They are just that good. And that's taking nothing away from Godzilla. Godzilla's my number one. But those Hesai Gamera movies, it was
very underrated.
Yeah, it's a complete package. It was a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it was beautiful.
I watched all of the Heisei series in all Japanese, and I loved it. But I even when I watched them dubbed, I still loved it because I was a kid and I was there for Gamera. But as an adult, seeing Revenge of Iris dubbed gets kind of awkward at a particular scene, and I'm kind of
wait. What scene is that?
When Iris consumes the girl in the forest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a little bit X-rated. You're going there, kind of suggestive there.
Why they were making weird noises?
Oh, just she just says some, Iris, I'm cold.
No.
And she just, it's just awkward, man. And it just, it's just not what, in a dub, if you want to take a movie seriously, you do not add that.
Yeah.
That just makes it go, it's like, oh, you're turning this movie into almost a very suggestive, pornographic almost type of film. But then, after that scene goes by, it's fine. Sure, the villain in the movie, the guy that wants Iris to kill everybody,
Yeah.
he sounds like a wacko in the dub. He sounds just awful.
He got a little
he's got-
wacky at the end of the subtitle one too.
yeah. But when it's English dubbed, it's worse.
Okay.
And it's just that was my problem, is that when I watched it in Japanese, like, this wasn't like the dubbed. It was a little bit, I could take it more seriously.
Yeah.
But hearing it in the American dubbed, sure, it's easier for me to understand because it's dubbed, but it just makes it awkward. And I'm like, this movie is hard to watch when it's awkward.
And
the lack of Gamera in Revenge of Iris, it was like, okay, I just want to get to Gamera then. Just show me more Gamera. And with it being awkward, it was just, yeah, let's just not watch it dubbed.
that's a good point you said with the more Gamera, but that's one of the reasons with the dubs that it upsets me, because again, those movies are really, really that good.
Well, my favorite is Attack of Legion.
Oh, that's absolutely.
My favorite. And even that dubbed is still a little bit hard to grasp at times, just because the dubbing, it's not, it's one of the better dubs, but it still has, with the redneck, like you mentioned, the redneck dubbing to it, it's just, it's like it was their opinion. It was like their opinion of what Americans sound like. And it's just, it was just really hard to watch.
Yeah, see, and I can't deal with things like that, man. That pisses me off, because again, I really do. And Advent of Legion, that's top 5, could be top 3 of my all-time favorite kaiju movies. Seriously.
Oh, I love that.
I love that movie.
The last battle in that movie, that was cool, man.
Unbelievable. And but I hope that if Gamera is done in Japan again because of the success of Shin Godzilla, I'm honestly now, I am really, remember last week I was kind of like, do we really need a whole week of Shin Godzilla, even though it's only like one showing per day? Well, from my theaters.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, because some theaters are showing it to the 20th.
What?
In Sacramento. They're showing it to the 20th, and they're showing it 3 times a day.
See, and I think that's going to wane off. Seriously?
But I think that's the theater's decision, not Funimation's decision.
Right, and I think that's going to wane off, because once the theater sees that there's really not that much foot traffic coming in after the initial rush, they'll start cutting it. They'll start bringing it down, do the one, because I think the contract is at least one showing a day for the time frame Funimation set up. If your theater is showing the movie, the contract has to be that, or then Funimation could get them and make a little profit for suing them, or for a breach of contract. But if they want to go ahead and put it upon themselves to keep it going, I don't know how that works. I don't know if they can do it or not, so I can't comment on that. All I can say is, after the initial rush from the G fans to go see this movie in theaters, it also depends, because it could be the greatest Godzilla movie we've ever seen, and then we go back for repeat viewings. I plan on seeing this movie at least 3 times. At least.
I'll probably only be able to see it once, just with my situation. But.
Right. But I mean, like, I plan on seeing it 3 times. If I don't like it, then twice. But if it's
also, you got to wait too, because it may come out and they don't get a lot of tickets sold in certain areas, and they may pull it back a few days because of that too.
Well, here's a good thing, that it comes out on Tuesday. They still have the weekend, and the weekend would be where I would go back to see it. Of course, like, I'm going to see it Tuesday, and then I would go see it probably Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday. So they have the weekend, and I'm sure a lot of G fans are probably going for the weekend. I doubt it. I think everybody's going to see it the 11th right off the bat. Like, let's just go see it, get it over with, because we're clamoring now. Now it's like, there's no boots floating around, there's no rips, no torrents. It's like, okay, they really have this under wraps.
Yeah.
So we got to go see this movie. Um, I'm excited, and I'm excited to see what the North American box office take is, because if it could add another, let's say 20 million, let's just say it makes 20 million out here in its theatrical run, I'm sure it could get to that point. That would be amazing. Throw that on top, $90 million already on top of what Japan made. What about what China's gonna bring in? What about what Malaysia and the Philippines? And that I cannot wait to see this. Because this Godzilla movie can, a worldwide box office, break 100 million and better.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We don't know how well it's doing over there in Singapore or Thailand and stuff like that. They're not reporting those box offices. But in Japan, it's still making money. So that's a good point. I can see it getting a 20 million, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would make more than 20 million.
Yeah,
but
I'm on that too.
We'd be surprised though. I mean, I remember from my page and seeing everyone talking about it, and then going on Funimation's page and hearing people talk about it. There's going to be some money made because people are buying their tickets. But I just don't know how much. And the thing is like, I don't think they're airing it on TV. I don't think we're going to see a trailer on the television.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
So this is strictly for Godzilla fans. If you are just someone out of the nilly and you just see it posted, you're probably not going to see it. I mean, you may, if you like are just a somebody and you go to the theater and see, hey, Shin Godzilla, I'll see that. That's just out of sheer luck, and that's out of your curiosity.
Yeah.
If you don't have a desire to see this movie or not even know about it, you're not going to. So that's the one thing, is that, you also got to remember too, there's Funimation posted it on their Twitter, and Twitter is a big audience too. And, so it should make some money, but it just depends, man. That's a gamble here.
Yeah,
to think about it.
That Funimation Twitter, that they're gonna get those anime otakus. Get them.
Yeah.
They let them know there's a new Godzilla and it's coming to the States. Go out. I mean, look, if my little daughter said she wants to go see Shin Godzilla, like I said at the top of the show, who am I to argue? We are going.
Yeah. So. And I'm kind of cool. It's kind of cool that she asked if she could go see that with you guys, because I mean, I don't know too much about your daughter and stuff, so hearing that she's also a Godzilla fan, that's just like, well, would you consider her a Godzilla fan or a minor fan?
Not at all. So
I mean,
her and my wife tolerate my hobbies.
did you ask her like why you want to go see it?
To be honest with you, because it's subtitled. I kid you not.
That's why she wants to see it?
She wants to see it. Not only because it's subtitled, because she knows I've been going crazy, and she's heard a couple of the podcasts, and her curiosity is piqued. So she's interested in seeing what's going on. She's seen the trailers. She knows what to expect. I show her the spoiler stuff. She wanted to see it. She knows what to... Because I showed it to her because I didn't think she would want to go see it. She knows what to expect. She's seen enough Godzilla movies to understand what Godzilla is and what he represents. Okay. Yeah. I'm still waiting for the day where she'll sit down with me and watch 54. But I'll tell you this.
You won't?
Because it's something black and white. I don't know, man. This younger generation,
Imagine the day comes and we see that movie finally in color. I don't know if we ever will, though.
I don't know if I would want to be honest. There's something timeless. The same thing with King Kong, 1933.
I think it would ruin the quality of that movie.
Yeah, but it would.
In color, we'll be able to see the suit at 54, and in color, seeing the pictures of it, the suit was rancid looking.
Yeah,
like worse than Shin Gojira,
which is its inspiration.
Yeah.
But that will do it today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me and G73. G73, man, thanks for hanging out with me.
Oh, always. I'll be here all the time.
As
long as I'm on vacation.
Were. It was definitely a good podcast. I enjoyed it. I really had a really good time this past hour shooting the shit with you. Well, we got a lot of things covered, even though we had nothing. We did not expect to do as much as we did today.
No, but I think that's what's a little bit, different when you just have one-on-one, because you can get a more precise opinion or an answer directed from, five other people, because it's got to cut time and all that too. But I enjoyed it too. It's not very often we just have a one-on-one, but as always, I do miss everybody else that joined the podcast. So it's still cool just to have every once in a while one-on-one too. So
you see that, ladies and gentlemen? You see how he fixed that? Because at first he said, I'm glad the rest of the panel wasn't here. And then he said, but I do miss them. So he did. Good fix, brother. Good fix. That'll do it for today's episode of the G Show podcast. That'll do it for today's episode of the Godzilla Block Party. I am G1, that is G73, and we're out of here till Thursday, a.k.a. Friday. Till Friday. Peace.